wasn't really annoyed with the first message that came in about this, but I found myself getting increasingly annoyed when there was like 6 of them that kind of said the same thing. And I'm going to read one of them to you that is going to be the example of all the others. But it basically was saying something like, hey, Bert, you're always talking about health and fitness and working out and stuff like that. And I feel like you are being totally PC about Cassie and her decision to be on Ozempic, and you're not being authentic. So that's how it kind of went yesterday, right? And for those that don't know, you want to sort of repurpose what we've talked about for the last couple of days, because people generally have been very supportive.
Yeah, in a nutshell, I've struggled with weight issues my entire life. And the past few weeks, a few months, I've been thinking about starting a semaglutide, a GLP-1 like Ozempic, to help with the weight loss, because I do have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is basically, it's like a disorder that one of the side effects is it's hard to lose weight, right? And so I've struggled with that as well. So I asked if it would be cheating almost to take a GLP-1 when I feel like I haven't been able to fully commit myself to the gym and like a diet change. I've done dabbling, I've made some changes, but I just don't have the time, but something's got to change. This is a tool. Should I use it, or am I making a mistake, essentially?
And I think you've been so great about communicating the inner struggle that you've had about it. You feel like sometimes like you're taking a shortcut, or maybe you're cheating. And you've been fantastic about it, right?
Thanks.
So I started to get these DMs, and I'm going to use this one specific one as the example of the others that I received, and I'm going to read to you the response I had to it as well. I was taking a lot of deep breaths. I was taking a lot of deep breaths yesterday. Bert, how do you really feel about Cassie going on Ozempic? As a guy that works out all the time and is a self-described gym rat, I feel like you get very quiet when she talks about it. Wondering if you are honest, how you feel about it. It sounds like I live a very similar life as you, and I have strong feelings about GLP-1, and I think many are just afraid to speak out for fear of looking like you're fat phobic. So how do you really, capital letters, how do you really feel? And this is what I wrote back, and then we can have a nice debate about it. I think this was probably the 5th of the 6th one, and I was starting to get a little very annoyed. What does it matter how I feel about it, is what I wrote back. What I'm invested in is Cassie feeling good about herself and being healthy and happy according to Cassie's definition of what healthy and happy looks like. How she gets there is inconsequential to me. I've never had to deal with weight issue. I'm blessed with pretty good weight genes, and food has never been a priority for me. So I can't possibly understand Cassie's relationship or struggle with food or body image. You know who knows Cassie best? Cassie. I love my friend no matter what she looks like, and I love and respect her so much for choosing to share this part of her life with you guys. I think you're focusing on the wrong part of her journey, is what I wrote yesterday.
That's really beautiful. Thank you.
I just don't, I think what I was getting annoyed by was, and especially with everything that was going on in the world yesterday, which we talked about earlier, people digging in on an opinion and having tunnel vision on it. And there's so much discord and so much opinion, strong opinion on other people's lives that I'm just about here with it. It doesn't matter to me. I think as a friend, I have told you my concerns about GLP-1. You're way smarter than I am. You've done the research on it. You know what's best for you. That's all you can do. I love this woman. And if this is the way that she wants to be happy and run her life, then so be it. What does it matter what my opinion is?
I think more than smartness, you have something that a lot of people are missing, and that's empathy. And I think that no matter the subject, we've sort of lost our ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and realize there are parts of the story we may not know. When it comes to semaglutides, and one thing I didn't really talk about yesterday, but I saw over and over again in the comments, was people talking about the food noise. And if you don't know what that means, it's thinking about food all the time. You finish breakfast, immediately, what's for lunch? When am I going to plan out? Your day is planned out. I'll go to lunch with friends and look at what the portion size that they eat, and I will try to match it, and I'll be starving. And then I'll go home and I'll cry because I'll be like, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I eat the same thing? Why can't I have like a salad and feel full? I know that's what I'm supposed to do, but the rest of the day I'm miserable and I'm hungry. I eat toast. If I don't eat protein with it, I am so ravenous. I won't be able to think straight until I get myself to the nearest restaurant and scarf down whatever I can. These are the challenges that really attracted me to GLP-1s. And it's hard because that's not as universal of a conversation as just losing weight and being healthy. But it's not, and I don't blame people because I fell into this trap too. I saw Hollywood using it and I'm like, you guys are just using it for vanity's sake, just to lose weight. There's no for the most part, doesn't seem like there's any health implications there for you. I don't want to buy into that weight loss culture where you have to be skinny to be successful. But when I look at it from my peace of mind, from being able to eat a normal sized portion, which you are medically supposed to eat, and feel full and satiated off that and not have to have a ton of it. And I know people are like, well, you can shrink your stomach. I've tried that. I've tried all of that. Okay. It doesn't work that way for people. So when you're not someone who has to go through it, when you're not someone who struggles to make time or struggles like I eat healthy and then I'm still hungry and I got to get a snack an hour later, when that's not your reality, it's very hard to step into someone's shoes who it is the reality, who the call of the ice cream from the freezer is so loud, I have to physically remove myself from the vicinity to ignore it. And then it's still in the back of my head. And then I'm spending my time rationalizing how I can eat that ice cream if I cut other things out of my diet, or can I go to the gym? Can I work out? Well, if I eat the ice cream today, then tomorrow I don't have to. It's such I sit here and I'm counting how many pounds a week I can use. I used to sit in college lectures and be like, okay, it's September. And instead of paying attention to econ, I would do calculations on how many calories I could cut and how much weight I could lose by the next May, by spring break, because that was all I thought about. Because food wouldn't release it. I would be in the middle of I can remember a 3-hour seminar and being like, we get a break in the middle. That's enough time for me to run to the canteen and get a salad, and I'll load it up with beans so I won't be hungry again. And then at the end of the seminar, I was hungry again. When you don't think about food 24/7, when maybe you don't like food, or maybe when it's not hard for you to eat portion sizes, it's very hard to understand why somebody would need a GLP-1 or something like that to help them. And I think Abby put it beautifully the other day. Something in my body is just not functioning the way that it should typically. It's not a moral failing of mine. And it's very hard to separate that out when weight is such a hot topic in our society, and how you look. People place value on being skinny. And so when you talk about taking a drug to lose the weight, I think it's very easy for people to be like, well, that's the cop out. You just need to work out and eat healthy. And that's not always the case for everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's the position I find myself in. And that's the reality I'm finally allowing myself to accept, that it's not a moral failing of mine. It's my body needs extra help. I'm inflamed. I'm not comfortable. I've made changes. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. I don't have a life set up now where I can consistently get to the gym. And I know people will argue, you need to make yourself a priority. I hate that phrase. I would love to make myself a priority, but I have children. I have a job. It is not feasible for me to do that at this moment unless I get up at 3 a.m. to try and work out. And you know what? I'll say it. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the gym so that I can go to bed at 10 p.m. after my kid is up half the night and just destroy my quality of life that way. So when I'm looking at the situation, I'm like, well, there is this tool out here that I could use to help kickstart things until things get a little more into a normal cycle and I can start doing some of these other things. And that's why I fought it for so long. But seeing the people online talking about the food noise being quieted, their inflammation going down, their blood, their cholesterol levels dropping. I have friends who are taking it because they have a family history of heart attacks and they want to avoid that. It's so much more than just weight loss. There are so many other factors that come into play, and seeing how the impact it has had on regular people's lives versus celebrities. Regular people who are like, I can run with my 5-year-old now because I lost some weight. My inflammation went down. I can breathe better. I started hitting the gym more because I felt inspired. And I want you to know, I would say 90% of the comments that came in from people who have successfully used a GLP-1 or a semaglutide like that say, hey, you also have to match the lifestyle. You need to drink water, you need to eat protein, and you need to work out. It's not a magic fix. So everyone, it seems, who's taking it, who has reached out, is very well aware you must change your lifestyle along with this drug. It is not a magic pill. But for them, the wins that they have had, they'll mention the weight loss, but I can hear when the emotion and the words that they use, the wins are because they're around for their kids. The wins are because they've been trying to get their cholesterol down for years and now they're able to, and now their risk of heart disease has gone down. The wins are they feel good about themselves in their bodies finally. It's not about how they look. In fact, I don't think I've seen one comment that says, I like what I see in the mirror now. And that is why those drugs are important, because when you are a person who is healthy and doesn't struggle with food, the answer seems very obvious, right? Calories in versus calories out. But when you are a person who struggles with food and whose body on top of that doesn't function and process food the way it's supposed to, especially with blood sugar, something like a GLP-1 can be quite literally life-changing. And so I respect what you say, Bert, about the research, and I agree with you on a lot of that too. I'm very hesitant to use new drugs. I put off antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills for years because I was worried about what would happen to me. And that was one of the best things I ever did for myself, was getting on Effexor. It changed my life. And so now I'm trying to look at this and I'm like, is this perhaps another tool that I, in my head, have vilified because Hollywood is abusing it and been like, that's bad. I don't need to buy into that, when actually maybe this is a tool that was specifically created for people like me to help me. And it's very hard to step back, especially when there is morality on it. You feel like sometimes as a fat person, you failed, that you're not as dedicated, that you don't have the self-discipline, that you're fat and you're lazy and you just don't care and you're shoving whatever down your gullet. That's not true for so many people. And yet we carry that shame and stigma. And so making a choice like this, it does sometimes, even though I would sit here and tell everyone else it's not cheating, but when it comes to yourself, it's you hold yourself to a different, I won't even say different standard. It's not a standard. You hold yourself to the lies that you've told yourself. And I'm trying to break out of that. And I appreciate you perhaps don't agree with GLP-1s, but what I love is that you're like, that's right for Cassie in that moment. She knows what's right for her, and I support her as my friend. And that's, I think, all anybody could ask.
Yeah, and I hope you don't feel like, because I feel like we all are like this. When you have this kind of job, sometimes I feel like we have to defend our actions. You don't have to defend living your life, man. You're the president of your own life. You pioneer your own way, and don't ever feel pressured, because I'm so appreciative that you share this journey on the show with us, because there are so many people going through the same one. Don't feel like you got to defend it, man. This is your life.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you.
The Bert Show.